Excuse me, you're in the way. Please move. Alright then, what's my name? Kane. I'm a sophomore in college, just wrapped up my general education courses. Majoring in economics and gearing up for specialized subjects next year. Job hunting looms. And I'm weighing grad school too. My parents are supportive, giving me the freedom to choose my path, thanks to our solid financial footing. Dad's success in business means we've never struggled financially, and I'm truly grateful for that. Once I land a job, I'm eager to repay their generosity. But despite outward appearances, I've got my own challenges. It's about my brother and his wife. Rick, my older brother by 10 years, and I have never really clicked. Despite what others say about opposite gender siblings with a significant age gap not being close, Rick and I have always conversed plenty. Yet closeness eludes us. Hey Kane, could you run out and grab some comics for me and pick up a notebook for studying? Use your own allowance, of course. Oh, and grab a drink too. I've been running these errands for him for years. When our parents were around, they'd sometimes intervene, but with both of them working, I mostly just went along out of fear. Even now that I'm an adult, this dynamic hasn't changed. It feels like it's only gotten worse. The tipping point came last year when Rick married Stacy, who's the same age as him. Stacy's attractive, but she's also pretty distant. I didn't warm to her from the start, and it turns out my instincts were spot on. You have a sister. Your parents are well off. I wonder if Caitlin could give us $5,000 as wedding money, Stacy once remarked, despite knowing I'm still in school. Fortunately, my parents stepped in. Kate is still a student living at home. The wedding gift will be the same as ours. Maybe a little extra, they replied firmly. But my brother and Stacy weren't satisfied. That's not fair. You're an adult now. You need to pay up. Yeah, we're family now. It's time to step up, they insisted. To avoid any drama, I reluctantly handed over the money my parents had given me. Frankly, both my brother and Stacy seemed pretty greedy. I had hoped to keep my distance, but they kept showing up at our house despite my objections. They never missed a chance to criticize me for living at home and commuting to college. You're still living at home. You're not planning to be a freeloader forever, are you? I don't want a sister who's just mooching off her parents. Seriously, even if your college is nearby, it's so lame. Why don't you move out? We could save on utilities and groceries, and there'd be more inheritance left for us. My brother said all this despite having commuted from home to college himself and even having to repeat 2 years. Stacy's remarks were just as cutting. My parents are still active and healthy, but she's already talking about inheritance. It's just tactless. I've held my tongue, fearing their reactions, but things have only worsened. Now, for some reason, they're bringing their belongings into our home, despite living just 30 minutes away in a spacious apartment. Rick, this stuff is cluttering up the place. Why bring it here? You have your own home, don't you? Mom finally spoke up, but Rick brushed it off. This is my home too. What's the big deal? Besides, Kane has plenty of stuff here. Kane lives here, after all. Well, I'm also a child of this house. You shouldn't treat your children differently. There's nothing wrong with keeping our things here. Stacy is part of my family now, so she's part of this household. Future in-laws, Rick will eventually inherit everything. Might as well get a head start, right? They continued to disregard my parents' warnings. Then, one day, things escalated further. On a weekend morning, I awoke to the heavy footsteps echoing through the house. Burly men filled every room, following my brother and Stacy as they shuffled belongings around, clearly hired for the task. What about this? Leave it there. But take that one away. Got it. Following my brother's commands, the men began moving drawers that belonged to my parents and me. They even started packing up my college textbooks and other daily essentials. Hey, what's going on? Stop this right now. Well, we were hired by them, one of the movers replied nonchalantly. No matter how much I protested, they paid no heed. Even my direct complaints were met with puzzled looks directed towards my brother and Stacy. Apparently, they had been hired for a handsome sum. Before I knew it, all the essential items were loaded onto a truck parked outside without a moment's pause. Oh, Kane, leave your money. We'll put it to good use. And please take those 2 old folks with you. You can keep your wallet, at least. They'll think we're heartless. We've rented a weekly apartment for you to stay with Mom and Dad. 2 weeks' rent is already covered. Go there for now. Your belongings will be delivered there soon. What? You can't. But before I could utter another word, They escorted me and my parents out into the yard. I stood there, stunned, gazing back at the house where I had slept just moments before. Reality hit me hard. I couldn't afford to freeze in shock. I'm an adult now, not just a child needing protection from my parents. I guess I'll have to take a break from college. I'll find a part-time job to get by for now. I wonder what happened to my bank book and SIL. It would have been nice if my brother had set aside some basic funds for me, but I can't dwell on it all day. The only thing to do is head to the weekly apartment they mentioned. It's okay, Dad, Mom. I'm not a kid anymore, I assured them, turning to see their stunned expressions, undoubtedly feeling betrayed by my brother. It fell to me to lift their spirits. My expectations were shattered, but in a strangely positive way, huh? When I turned back, both of them were smiling. Well, that went better than I thought, didn't it? It happened quicker than we anticipated. What? Hold on, what's going on? As it turned out, they had suspected my siblings' plan all along. Since the moment they started moving their belongings, they have foreseen a day like this. But listen, Kane, people like them won't back down no matter what you say. If anything, they'll dig in deeper when confronted with reason. Exactly. You can't confront someone like Rick directly. Let them think they've won. They'll lower their guard. That's when you strike. What? So this was all part of your plan? Their smiles widened at my question. Your dad didn't build a company from scratch for nothing. It's time to teach you some of the skills that supported him, Kane. I'll show you how to handle situations like this. They suggested we head to the weekly apartment for now. I had thought we would go straight home to confront my siblings, but apparently that wasn't the plan. Following Dad's lead, I walked with a heavy heart, pretending to be deeply discouraged. I feel like we're being followed. Don't worry, Kane. Just act like you don't notice. People like Rick and Stacy thrive on tormenting others. They'll likely report back that we seem downcast. Keep playing along, okay? Taking their advice, I headed to the apartment. Once inside, they announced with renewed energy. Most of the plan has worked. It's time to turn the tables on Rick and his crew. At Mom's signal, Dad made a call. Proceed as discussed. He was arranging with a moving company. It appeared one of Dad's trusted employees was ready to oversee the operation. Soon, movers were streaming into our home. Boss, everything is proceeding according to plan. Your son and daughter-in-law appear to be quite surprised. Well, that's to be expected. Keep going. Through the phone, there was a murmur of live updates. Apparently, Dad had briefed the movers on which items to take. The sounds of safes and other valuables being moved filled the space. What's going on? Are you barging into someone's house like this? What's the deal? Excuse me. Should I call the police? No need. We're here at the homeowner's request. Hey, could you please move? You're blocking our way. Wait a minute. That's my safe with my bank book inside. Where are you taking it? Your father requested this. We're moving it to the new house. What's happening here? I was just about to open that safe. It's your father's decision. And Rick, it's quite telling that as his own son, you don't know the safe combination. Clearly, there's a lack of trust. Shut up. You're just an employee. Wait, that jewelry belongs to my mother-in-law. Why are you taking it? This is under the vice president's orders. It's also being moved to the new home. If anything happens to it, you'll be held responsible. What? Hold on, I can't afford that. Please don't interfere. About an hour later, the room fell silent and I overheard one of the employees. Mr. President, Vice President, all arrangements are complete. Apologies for disturbing you on your day off. No trouble at all, thank you. My father ended the call and turned to me. Let's head to our new home. He guided me to a mansion just as opulent as our previous one, if not more grandiose. What is this place? Our new residence. Yes, Kane, the security here is even tighter. Rick won't find it easy to gain access. And the old house? I sold it discreetly. The broker will take over tomorrow. And what about Rick and Stacy? Don't know, don't care. They might be forced out, but that house was never truly theirs. They'll manage. Exactly, Kane. We have a lot to do today with the move. We need to get everything settled by tonight. Encouraged by my parents, we all got to work. We familiarized ourselves with the layout of the new house and began organizing our rooms and living spaces. By nightfall, everything was in place. That evening, I was so exhausted that thoughts of Rick slipped away, and I fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, after a refreshing rest, my parents filled me in. They had been planning for this day since Rick got married. Rick has always been like that, and I suspected Stacy would follow suit, so I had a contingency plan in place. Moving into this house was part of it. It's a secret even from Rick, ensuring our peace here. What about Rick? I doubt they'll stay quiet after all this. You're right, Rick and his group are upset, but we have a top-notch lawyer from our company. It's clear who's in the wrong here, don't you think? Absolutely. Dad's legal advisor contacted my brother. They've been warned that any further attempts to harm us will result in a lawsuit. If that's how it's going to be, count me out. Upon hearing this, my brother abandoned his plans to seize our old home. They were left empty-handed, but that wasn't the end of it. Turns out my brother couldn't find a job after college. He was only working at Dad's company out of sympathy. There's no place for someone like you here. You're not my son anymore. Consider yourself fired. Following this incident, my brother, who lacks skills to begin with, appears to be struggling to secure new employment. Stacy, who valued money above all else, was furious. Rick, you're worthless without money? I want a divorce. She said that, and they divorced. But Stacy didn't escape consequences either. Dad spoke to Stacy's employer about the situation. They couldn't afford to keep her, especially if it meant jeopardizing a crucial client relationship. They let Stacy go with the condition that their business relationship would continue as usual. I can't believe this is happening to me. I was supposed to be the boss's wife, living the high life. All those jewels, that mansion, they were supposed to be mine. Stacy complained bitterly, but it was too late. She was left with nothing. Her family knew the situation but showed no intention of helping her. They're strange. Dad filled me in on all this. It made me realize that despite thinking I was grown up, I've been naive. There's still so much I can learn from my parents. I must keep striving to ensure I never end up like my brother or Stacy. Luckily, I still have time before graduating from college, so I'll keep working hard, following my parents' example.